Today's shave is going to have this That Darn Rob brush, kind of purpley, brown, maybe a little bit of blue, red all in there. This is the Fanchurian knot from him. And I'm going to soak this in some water. Like this is how I do it for a few minutes. Some people prefer just to get it wet and let it sit for a few minutes, you know. With boars, you definitely have to do something like that. With badgers, some people don't even soak them at all. This one's strange. It performs very differently from the first pass and the third pass. Third pass, it has gotten into a great smooth groove where the fibers and bristles are more relaxed and they don't bunch up and push in density on my face when I switch directions. That's interesting. It's the first brush I've had that has done that. Carrying on to other things, the remarkable thing in this shave is my Nacet that I'll be shaving with. This is the first blade that I've taken a long ways, and it's quite a long ways. Today will be the 95th shave with this guy, 95. And I'm not saying that Nacet is like the one that will let you go far. It's just the first one I've taken. People have taken Pole Silvers and Gillette Silver Blues really far. So, you know, this is just the first one I have. We're going modern a little bit because I have yet to try that with this razor with a Nacet. This is the Merkur Futur, if I'm pronouncing it right. You just snap off the cap like that, and you gently lay your blade in the top of it like that, and then you place the cap, press until it clicks, and there we go. I don't really like the mechanism. I'm going to probably sell this razor. I also don't like that it's so much wider than the blade. In a sense, if you cut yourself sometimes on those little end tabs, well, this is going to block that and protect you. I don't really like the futuristic kind of mechanism, but you know what probably is the thing I don't like as much is the fact that the adjustment is the twisting of the handle. This whole handle here turns, and so when I feel like I'm shaking it out in the sink, I feel like I could be changing the adjustment setting without knowing it. I feel like I have to keep watching it. As you may know, if you've seen any of my recordings in this series with this blade, the aggressive razors and the aggressive settings are really where I'm able to use this blade. For quite a while now, month and a half or so, I haven't really been able to use my mild razors. Normally, I believe I would shave on this with a 3. So let's bump it up and start at a 5 and see what happens. The syringe is ready to put in water to the lather. Since this is kind of a futuristic razor, let's go to a company that's not all that old. It's fairly young, or at least a soap line. Let's put it that way, because Grumatorium is the company that puts this soap out, and they are definitely not young. But this line is. They wanted an inexpensive line, about $10 for a tub. I have tried one other of theirs, and it was Moxie. The performance was excellent. The smell was nice when I put my nose in the tub, just like this one is. But in practical use, it was so weak that by the time the lather made it to my face, it was pretty much unscented. So I haven't used the Moxie since I tried it. Except for the lather games when there was a Stubble Buster day, I think. Anyway, so this one promises. This is a one that I bought used. It was in a lot of soaps, several of them. I figure, hey, let's try it. And I do like the scent. Leather, violet leaf, and chamomile. Chamomile is a tea. I get the leather, and I read the description online. Lots of different elements in this soap, different notes. But the base, the scent that he was kind of using as inspiration was the cologne Fahrenheit. And so that it's not meant to be an exact copy, just kind of based on. So it's similar to that if you like that fragrance. I'm hoping that this one has more strength than the Moxie. I'll be using my lather bowl, and today I'll be not scooping like I have in so many times past. About a 20-second load is what we're going to try. All right, let me get my face wet. I'm glad I'm cutting off the top of my head here out of frame, because I was working in the kitchen today, replacing our kitchen faucet. I've got a leak that sprang up, so we had to go out and get a new faucet. So I was under the shelf, and I'm a big guy, and all my arms didn't fit where they should, and so my hair was roughed up. All right, so I'm going to take out this guy. I'm going to get rid of a lot of the soap. I'm sorry, water. There we go, and we'll do a 20-second load. The 10 just hit, so we'll just go ahead and start. So that means we'll load until we get to 30 or 31. Pressing a little bit, not a lot. And there we go. 20 seconds, a lot of foamy stuff developing, which is fine. I'm going to just wash out the sides of the container. Because it's easier now than later. And my post shave, I'm going to try out this guy, Mudder Focker from RazoRock, because he's got a few elements that are kind of similar to this cologne. And Mudder Focker was one of those that I read about early in my wet shaving time. And I never actually ordered the soap or anything like that. And it came in a lot, and so I was looking forward to trying it. Why not? And that is what the reason I bring it up now is because as I just loaded the soap, it reminded me that the soap for Mudder Focker, the maker said, don't make sure that you dry out the soap. And it's not too often that a maker will actually tell you that. For sure, you know, there's a big argument. Some people like to dry out their soaps, and some people just cap it up and go. They said you could actually hurt the soap if you do cap it up without letting it dry. And matter of fact, they recommended if you used it 3 times a week or so, just leave it open all the time. So I found that kind of interesting. But today it's just the aftershave. All right, so let's just start going. Airy, big bubbles right away, normal. Really interested to see what I can do to keep this knot from starting out quite so harsh and stiff. I don't know if a longer water soak is needed or something. I'm not really sure. Maybe I wonder about the kind of lather. I wonder if maybe it's more sensitive. Need the more creamy lathers. It is a very dense knot. All right. So we've kind of brought it up to where it was kind of equalized with the water that was in the brush and all that. I'm starting slowly because I put a full teaspoon in here. As I recall, the Moxie was easy to dial in. Not too much mysterious with it. Yeah, it's a nice scent. I like that. I like that a lot. Obviously, it is a blend of a bunch of cool things, and I'll bet my nose is not good enough to be able to name too many of them at all. There were some florals in here, as I recall. I think like neroli or some orange notes or something. Definitely the leather, chamomile, things like that. Like 9 different pieces they mentioned in the description. So after just 1 teaspoon added, let's take a look. Oh, that's a nice long peak. That's something to notice. We've still got some hills and valleys, but they're pretty smoothed out. It's still kind of dry, you know, it's kind of stiff on my brush here. That is most of what we have. So let's add a little bit more water. It was nice that Grumatorium tried to step in and provide Stubble Buster, because Barrister and Mann had a great line that was similar called Lather, L-A-T-H-A. Still, some of the soaps can be available, can be found at some retailers that, you know, had an extra stock of them. Definitely some on eBay. And definitely some in the used market, but they were kind of a $10 soap as well. Performance was just excellent, and their scents were a lot better than Stubble Busters, at least in terms of strength. They were simplistic scents in many cases, but the strength was nice. It was, you could experience the soap during the shave, unlike Moxie, for me at least. I wonder, and now that I think about it, there was a lot of hubbub about Stubble Buster when they first came out. I mean, they were so cheap. The people were just buying a bunch of them, which is great. But I haven't really heard too much mention of them these days. Maybe more people were kind of like me and a little disappointed in the scent strength. I mean, even with Moxie, you could get a noseful in the tub here without a problem, but when it was on your face, it just... All right, now take a look at this as we're mixing around. It's not really clinging to the top walls and staying up there, and that is sometimes something to look forward to. Pull it over to one side, lift up, look at the elasticity there. That probably means we're stopping right here. And we'll also just do a finger test. Oh, good cushion. Let's say a, medium cushion. I do just feel that I have ridges in my fingerprints, but the slickness kind of hides some of those to a good degree. Seems like I might have stopped at about the right point. Get my face a little wet. Cold water tonight. Hard water as usual. And hopefully this guy won't be too stiff. Yeah, see how he's kind of shoving my face around? Yeah, let's get a little bit more lather. I think I kind of prefer the bulb shaped brushes instead of the fan. The tips on this one aren't super soft. They're soft, but not excessively so. Not very soft. some of that lather off the side of the brush. Finish off by laying a little layer down. Let's give this 95 use blade a try. I think I'm really liking the ergonomics of that handle. So I think it's likely that I would maybe yank that knot up out of there and put something a little nicer in it if I like it, continue to like it. All right, I have no idea. I've shaved with this razor very little. It goes all the way up to 6. So we're going to try it on 5 and see how things go. Cold. It's very loud. Yeah, so you can hear it. It's slightly uncomfortable. This is the first, pass, obviously. So I do expect it to kind of smooth out. Of course, I could turn it down to 4, I guess. Let's do that and see what... Now this guy, you got to be careful because the head, you've got to hold the head and then turn the handle to change the setting. And so you got to make sure that head doesn't spin in your, and make sure you don't grab it by the blade sides. Right, so just be careful. Let's see how the 4 does. There are clones of this razor because I think the patent ran out on Merkur. Something like that, maybe. And they, so other companies started making kind of the same mechanism. They almost look exactly the same. I can tell you right now, I bought one of the Q-Shave adjustables, which is based on this. It's thinner, a little bit thinner in terms of the handle and stuff, but it shaves well. If I wanted to try out this razor to see if I liked it, I'd probably buy one of those. I think you can get it for $10, $13, the Q-Shave adjustable. All right, rinse time. So the rinse happened real easy. Not a lot of residual slickness, didn't take very long at all. Maybe that's good or bad depending on what you like. Let us, as far as consistency, I believe I dialed the lather in just about right. It didn't feel too thin and it didn't feel too thick. Just now I shoved the brush down into the lather to maybe try to help it to be a little smoother. And it is. How about that? What is up with these hairs? This is much more comfortable than the first pass. It's still pushing my skin around just a little bit, but it's really funny because the third pass will be even nicer. I am getting a little bit of the scent while I'm brushing here. I'd say maybe a 2 out of a 10 in terms of strength. I'm liking the scent a lot. It's just very faint. So Barrister and Mann had lather, and they just decided they wanted to go a little bit different direction instead of keeping up a whole line of inexpensive soaps. And so Stubble Buster maybe came along about the right time. So we'll see how that goes. I think my face likes the 4 better. We sure can hear that, but it's fairly smooth. It's not irritating at all. There's some blade feel there, but it's predictable. This razor has a channel on each side where the hair and soap can easily not get clogged up and all that. It's nice. Plenty of room there. Yeah, the 4 is a lot better with this blade on my neck. Now, I'm getting a good shave, at least in terms of comfort. So we'll just have to see if it's also giving me a good shave in terms of actual closeness. Also, there's a lot of mechanism behind here for over the years for soap and gunk and stuff to gather. Maybe another reason why this razor puts me off a little bit. All right, rinse in this cold water. It is bracing and also soothing if you shave at an aggressive pace, aggressive setting, and you like to really get close and get those hairs cut, then you may want to try, if you haven't already, cold water shave, or cool water at least, because it just soothes your face as you go. If you get inflammation, also is another reason to try a cool water shave. And just kind of lay down the layer that's going to shave well, no problem. Yeah, I think I mixed this about right. The scent is just a little stronger than Moxie because I can kind of smell it while I'm active. It's a 1 out of 10, maybe slightly less if I'm not active, if I'm just standing here. So it's slightly participating in the shave. You know what? I might bump back up to a 5 now for this third pass, because I've already gone over these areas, and let's just try to make sure we get all those hairs. The soap seems to be protecting well. Yep, nice glide. So I think this line of soaps is going to be a godsend to sensitive skin folks who aren't able to tolerate much in terms of scent, because the performance of these and the cost of these is really nice. Nice low cost for good performing soaps, and they're just not strongly scented. There we go, that's the third pass. I'm glad I switched to the 5 setting because it's not bothering me right now. Don't get any irritation. And let's rinse. So right now I'm not getting a great close shave, but I usually do need to do a, ever since maybe use number 20 of this razor, I need to do a follow-up, a neck only pass to get my most troubled areas. So let's do that, and it turns out 20 seconds with this brush at least gives me a perfect amount of lather. Plenty enough to do my 3.5 passes with a little bit extra. And I like that, just in case I botched up something. You know what usually happens is that may cause me to have to re-lather, like a kid wakes up crying or something like that, and I have to run in and help them. So then I have to maybe re-lather or something like that. Lather feels terrific. But these are the same guys, Grumatorium. These are the same guys that do Chiseled Face and I think Tiki Bar soaps. And Chiseled Face is just excellent. I've tried several of their soaps and they're all just, the scents are wonderful, but the performance is just great too. Midnight Stag's one of my favorite. It's very polarizing, but I really enjoy it. Not a good shave. Just not cutting very well. So the geometry for this particular razor and this blade did not really work all that well. So let me rinse and maybe we'll do another touch-up pass. Now what I'm going to do now is turn the razor down to a 4. More aggressive geometry doesn't necessarily mean better geometry. Maybe this one just, like for instance, love this little guy as it turns out. The Fatip Piccolo with the open comb base plate. The geometry is just perfect for this blade and my skin, and this blade at its own age, at this age. So let us, I'm going to splash just a little bit of water on my chin area, my facial undercarriage. Put a little bit of a touch-up pass's worth of soap right here. And let's see here. Now, careful and strategic. That's a little too smooth. I don't feel like I'm cutting any hairs by doing that. We'll see if it was a mistake to switch down to the 4. No, actually, I think I finally was able to get more hairs. Pretty cool. All right, rinse. Not bad. It turned out okay. I thought maybe it was quite a dip in quality with this razor and this aging blade, but this is the same shave I've gotten from a couple of my good guys at this age. So not bad, not bad. He can hang in there okay. One extra pass than I usually do. Not bad. I will say, with this razor, you see that it's a smooth finish. There's no knurling or anything. It's the matte finish, and it is not a problem in terms of grip. Very secure in your hands, if you were wondering about that. I don't think it's stainless steel. I think it's the Zamac and pot metal type stuff. So I think it's probably overpriced because I think it's like $80 or something like that. I got this one used at a much lower price than that. Because I bought it with a few other soaps, and the guy just wanted to get rid of it. I'm glad to have it, glad to test it out for a little while, and I bought it because I mainly knew that I would go ahead and sell it, and that would probably help pay for the soaps that I got with the deal. So that's a little bit about the razor. Maybe we'll do a razor tour at the end of this one, since who knows, maybe I may sell it next week or something. Another thing is the turning of the setting mechanism here just kind of happens like that. There's no clicking, and so you could feasibly turn it without knowing and change your setting during the shave. It's difficult to do. It's never happened with me, but I imagine it's possible because there is a little bit of resistance there, so it's probably not going to happen, but I thought I'd mention that there wasn't any kind of indexing with some kind of clicking that would really keep it in the right spot. Face feels good as far as soap goes. I believe that I could walk away without having any post-shave product with this one. Just a few hairs showing some length. All the rest of them cut nicely. 95%, 92% baby butt smooth on my cheeks without going against the grain. I think that's pretty good. Yes, let's hit with this. See what happens. Alcohol-based splash for sure. A little bit of stinging going on. Just a little bit, and now it's gone. It was, I think, over here somewhere. I kind of like that. We'll see how it feels in a little bit. I'm glad to see that I was not able to see any menthol in here. Now, if there's some other ingredient that has the same effect, that has a weird name, I don't know, but here's the list. You can pause it if you want to read up on all that, but here's the front there. So now this one as well, similar to the soap, has quite a good many notes in it. I looked it up just to see florals and citrus. I think it's almost unisex. But I think it's masculine enough. I think I like it pretty well. It's all right. It's kind of fresh, upbeat. I definitely don't think it's worthy of some kind of controversial name or hard-hitting name. It's not a hard-hitting fragrance. I'd maybe call that something that was a little more more dank or something like that. Or like Midnight Stag, In Your Face, like birch tar. You know, some harsher ingredients, some musky type ingredients. Yeah, very light, almost good in the spring, summer. Yeah, now I'm getting a little bit of a feminine vibe with it. I definitely see how this smells like maybe some perfumes that I've smelled off of some ladies. Probably not old ladies, probably more, 40s, 30s, your old ladies. I guess that's very interesting. It's got enough of the citrus in there to help the florals not be quite so feminine. Yeah, how about that? Interesting. Yeah, I guess there's enough. I don't know. Oh, you know what? Tonka bean, vanilla, something. There's something grounding it out a little bit that maybe is also helping it not be quite so feminine. So yeah, it's right on the border for me there. Interesting. Totally did not see kind of a fresh, upbeat scent profile coming from that packaging, but that's the way it goes. All right, face feels good. I'm gonna start putting things away. I did end up with probably a pass left on my brush here, and then there we go. Just the right amount of soap. I like that. Just want to make sure I dry out my brush a little bit. And I am reminded that this knot is pretty young, so I'm not going to be too critical about it being a little too uncomfortable, a little too, or not soft, not as soft. So we need to give it a little bit more time, I think. So drying off the handle. It's a nice dense knot, gorgeous handle, lots of hairs, and I don't think it's gonna hook and become gel tips. I'm glad about that. I don't like gel tips, so definitely gonna keep giving this guy more shots like tonight. Put him away. Be really interesting to see what my wife thinks of this fragrance. She normally goes for the more current kind of upbeat stuff instead of the old Spice and Leather and Brut and things like that, musky things. So be interesting to see if she smells the feminine parts of it more, or if she gets it, likes it. Who knows? One cool thing about this razor, when it comes time to take the blade out at the end of the shave or the end of the week, whenever, just give it a little. I put this to make sure it doesn't flip all the way out. Just nudge it with your thumb on one side, then nudge it up with your thumb on the other, and now this can be lifted away very easily. And then the blade is just sitting there. He's not clamped in or anything, and so he's very easy to take out safely. You're not going to damage the edges or anything like that. And here's that mechanism inside. These two wires here are kind of like springs that hold that top cap down. Obviously, if they ever break, then the razor is useless. And then you can see it raise and then lower as you change the settings. There you go. Normally I like to kind of dry my razor with a towel and kind of wipe it down after each shave, but there's so much of this one that is where the mechanism is covering up everything. There's not really much to dry. So sure, let's take, here's that top cap, and here are those two posts and those two springs that I pointed out. These posts go right in them, and then the spring wires will go right around in that narrow section right there. One of them is, one of these ends has a little nub or extra ridge, the other one doesn't, to help you to be able to get the head off. Nice matte finish. The finish seems to be really good on here. Probably a little better than most other Merkurs that I've had. They're kind of the standard looking razors. And here is that again. We have some drain type holes, but then there's a nice channel on both sides for the soap and hair to fill up and move away and all that. So and then a little bitty, I'm glad they put this in here. That's a good place for your grip and maintain control. Just a rounded end. There's not really too much to it. It's kind of hefty, kind of heavy. That's all there is to the Merkur Futur, if that's how you say it. And so all you have to do is snap the head in by putting those two posts between the two wires, and that's it. All right, now the notes that I'm getting right now from this aftershave are really starting to be a little bit more feminine to me. So probably not a keeper. As you can see, I shook most of the water out of the brush before I started, and then I added 1 3/4 teaspoons of water to the lather to make that, and that was with a 20-second load with a dense brush, a dense badger brush with some backbone. And so that if you have a softer brush, it might take a little bit longer to get that same amount of soap. If you have a smaller brush, maybe it might there's going to be some adjustments. If you have a really scritchy badger brush or a scritchy boar brush that's really scrubs like crazy, then maybe you need to load for 10 seconds or 15 seconds. And so there we have the 95th use of this Gillette Nacet. This is the working side. I'm always shaving with this side on the bottom. You can see those notches from when I was using it in the open comb of the Fatip. This is the top side, so it doesn't have nearly as much staining and residue and that sort of thing. Carefully put this back in my envelope because I don't know exactly which razor I'll choose to use tomorrow. I'm glad I thought to try to use the Futur since it's got aggressive sides to it. So not bad, not real bad. There we go. Yeah, as the scent settles in here, the florals and the powder, I think I detect a powdery note of this guy are just too, a little too strong, too dominant for me. So the soap performed well, and if I want to keep just one Stubble Buster soap, which I may very well, I might sell the Moxie and keep this Resolute because I enjoyed the fragrance and it stuck around a little bit stronger than the Moxie. So there we go. It was good trying the Futur out with this blade, and it did well. Did well enough. And this brush, good to get another use into it. Hopefully we can head toward some softer bristles with more uses. All right, so 95 shaves. Just 5 more until we hit 100. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. I hope there was something here that helped you out. I don't have too many shaves, maybe 0 with this particular razor, so that might be the reason you found yourself at this video. Anyway, take care and good night.